Clarissa Shields is done defending Papoose. She's claiming he used her, played her, and left her looking crazy while Remy Ma watched it all unfold. This whole love triangle just collapsed, and the internet is absolutely losing it over what really went down behind the scenes. Everybody thought they knew the full story. Papoose left Remy Ma. Clarissa stepped in. They were happy, posting each other nonstop, doing interviews together, living their best lives. That was the version everyone believed. Clarissa was out here talking about how Papoose was her king, her cheat code to life, the best man she ever had. She was ready to go to war with Remy Ma over him. But now Clarissa's singing a completely different tune. New reports, new behavior, new energy. She's hinting that she got played. And the whole narrative about this perfect new relationship is twisting fast, and people are picking up on every single detail. Let me break down how this all started unraveling, because the clues were there from the jump. Clarissa Shields, the boxing champion, the GWAT as she calls herself, has been all over social media for months now. Not because of her fights, not because of her athletic career, but because of Papoose. Every single post, every interview, every public appearance, she's talking about this man like he's the second coming. She's calling him her king. She's saying he speaks to her differently than any man ever has. She's posting them together constantly, at events, in the car, at dinner, everywhere. It's like she wanted the world to know that she won, that she got the man Remy Ma couldn't keep. And people noticed. Fans online started commenting on how obsessed she seemed, how she wasn't just in love, she was in competition. And the person she was competing with? Remy Ma, a woman who, by the way, is still legally married to Papoose. That's the part Clarissa kept trying to ignore. She'd call Remy his ex-wife in comments, in interviews, everywhere. But legally, they're still married. No divorce papers, no finalization. Still married. Now, here's where the evidence starts piling up. Christmas just passed, and guess what? Papoose didn't spend Christmas with Clarissa. He spent it with his daughter, and reportedly with Remy Ma. Fans noticed immediately. Clarissa posted her Christmas tree, trying to act unbothered, but people weren't fooled. They started asking, "Where's Papoose?" She tried to explain it away, saying he was with his mom and family. But then TMZ and social media sleuths started digging deeper. There's a video of Remy Ma out Christmas shopping. She's looking good, glowing, unbothered. People in the comments are hyping her up, talking about how she's aging backwards, how her body's right, how she's clearly winning. And in the background of that video, a voice, a male voice. Fans slowed it down, replayed it, analyzed it, and they swear that voice sounds exactly like Papoose. They're comparing it to his other interviews, his tone, his cadence. Online detectives went full CSI mode. They're claiming there's an 80% vocal match. They're saying the mannerisms, the way the person in the background was moving, it all lines up. And if that's true, that means Papoose was out shopping with Remy Ma while Clarissa was at home posting her Christmas tree, trying to convince people she was fine. That's brutal. That's the kind of thing that makes you question everything. But it gets even crazier. A few days before Christmas, Clarissa posted a video of herself with designer bags, Louis Vuitton, multiple bags. She's showing off receipts, talking about how she doesn't need a man to buy her things because she can do it all herself. She's independent, she's rich, she's the prize. And people were like, okay, cool, you're flexing. But then, a few days later, she posted another video. This time, she's claiming Papoose bought her those same bags as Christmas gifts. She's calling them his presents to her, saying he came through for his queen. Fans immediately called it out. They compared the videos, same bags, same receipts, same everything. She tried to reframe her own purchases as gifts from him, and that's when people realized how deep the situation really is. She's out here doing damage control, trying to make it look like Papoose is treating her like royalty, when in reality, she's buying her own gifts and pretending they came from him. That's not love, that's desperation. And let's talk about the Breakfast Club interview. Papoose was supposed to go solo to promote his project, but Clarissa tagged along, and the moment DJ Envy brought up Remy Ma, Clarissa's whole demeanor changed. She pulled up a chair, inserted herself into the conversation, started talking about how Remy has somebody too, how everyone's happy, how it's all old news. But Papoose' body language, he looked uncomfortable. He wasn't co-signing everything she was saying. He looked like he wanted to move on. And fans picked up on that too. They started saying he's just using her for the bag, for the publicity, for the relevance. Because let's be real, before Clarissa, when's the last time you heard Papoose' name in the headlines? This whole situation has the internet absolutely buzzing. People are dissecting every post, every video, every comment, and the more they dig, the more it looks like Clarissa got caught up in something she wasn't ready for. She thought she was getting a king, but she might have just gotten played.
Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place. You gotta understand the history here. Papoose and Remy Ma were the ultimate hip-hop love story. They got married while Remy was in prison. Papoose stayed loyal, visited her, held her down for years. When she got out, they were everywhere together. Red carpets, interviews, love and hip-hop, everything. They were the couple everyone rooted for. They had a daughter together. They renewed their vows. It was picture perfect. But then, cracks started showing. There were rumors of Papoose cheating. Remy hinted at issues in interviews. Things got messy. And then, publicly, they separated. Remy moved on. She's been spotted with someone new. She's living her life. But here's the thing. They never officially divorced. And that matters because it means legally, financially, emotionally, there are still ties. There's still a connection. And Papoose, he's playing both sides. Think about it. Papoose' career has been stagnant for years. He's a talented lyricist, no question, but mainstream success, that's been elusive. He's not pulling in major endorsement deals. He's not headlining sold-out tours. His albums don't chart high. So where's the money coming from? Where's the relevance coming from? Clarissa Shields. She's a two-time Olympic gold medalist. She's a multi-division world champion boxer. She's got endorsements, sponsorships, media appearances. She's got money, and she's got a platform. When Papoose started dating Clarissa, suddenly he's back in the blocks. He's doing interviews, he's at her fights, he's getting tagged in her posts. He's getting attention he hasn't had in years. And Clarissa, she's eating it up. She's posting him constantly, hyping him up, calling him her king, acting like she's never been treated this well. But here's the thing. Fans started noticing that Papoose' energy didn't match hers. She's all in, he's there. He shows up, he smiles for the camera, but is he really all in, or is he just riding the wave? Let's talk about Clarissa's history. Before Papoose, she wasn't really known for public relationships. She's been focused on her career, her training, her legacy in boxing. So when she got with Papoose, this was new for her. She was experiencing public relationship dynamics for the first time. And she didn't have the experience to recognize red flags. She didn't see that a man who's still legally married to someone else might not be fully available. She didn't see that a man who's always at her events but never posting her first might not be as invested. She didn't see that she might be getting used. And the timeline is important. Papoose and Remy's separation wasn't that long ago. We're talking less than 2 years. That's not a lot of time to fully process the end of a marriage, especially one that was so public and so deep. So the idea that Papoose fully moved on, fully committed to Clarissa, and fully cut ties with Remy, it doesn't add up. And fans have been saying this from the start. They've been warning Clarissa, but she didn't listen. She was too caught up in the idea of being chosen. Now let's talk about Remy Ma's role in all this. She's been unbothered, truly unbothered. She's not posting about Clarissa, she's not commenting on the situation, she's just living her life, looking good and staying quiet. And that silence, that's power, because it's driving Clarissa crazy. Every time Clarissa posts something shady, Remy doesn't respond. Every time Clarissa tries to get a reaction, Remy stays quiet. And that lack of reaction is making Clarissa look more and more desperate. And here's the kicker. Papoose is still connected to Remy. He spent Christmas with her and their daughter. He's still in her life, he's still legally tied to her, and Clarissa's realizing that she's not the main character in this story. She's the side plot, she's the rebound, she's the distraction. And that realization is hitting her hard. People online are saying Papoose played the long game. He got with Clarissa for the exposure, the money, the platform. He kept Remy in his life because that's his family, that's his history, that's his foundation, and he played both women. He let Clarissa think she was winning while keeping Remy close enough to fall back on. That's cold, that's calculated, and if that's what happened, Clarissa got finessed in the worst way. And the motive makes sense. Papoose needed relevance. Clarissa gave him that. Papoose needed financial stability. Clarissa's got money. Papoose needed to stay close to Remy for his daughter and his legacy, so he never fully committed to Clarissa. He kept one foot in both worlds, and now it's all coming apart. Clarissa is waking up. Remy is still unbothered, and Papoose, he's in the middle trying to figure out his next move. This whole situation is a masterclass in playing the game, and Clarissa is realizing she was never the player. She was the pawn. But here's the part that really hits different. Clarissa Shields is a world champion. She's one of the greatest female boxers of all time. She's strong, she's fierce, she's dominant in the ring. But outside of it, she's human. She's formidable. And she fell for someone who wasn't fully available. And that's heartbreaking. Think about it. She's out here talking about how Papoose is the first man to treat her right, the first man to speak to her with respect, the first man to make her feel like a queen. She's never experienced this before, and she thought she finally found it. She thought she found her person, so she went all in. She posted him everywhere, she defended him publicly, she went to war with Remy Ma over him. She put her pride, her reputation, her heart on the line. And for what? To find out he was never fully hers to begin with. And the way she's been moving lately shows the pain. She's posting cryptic messages, she's trying to act unbothered, but you can see through it. She's doing damage control, trying to salvage her image, trying to make it look like she's still winning. But people see the truth. They see a woman who got her heart broken by a man she thought was different, a man she thought chose her. But in reality, he never left his wife. He never fully committed. He just kept her around while he figured things out. And the saddest part, Clarissa is the one looking crazy. She's the one getting dragged online. She's the one being called desperate, obsessed, delusional. Meanwhile, Remy Ma is being praised for staying calm, staying quiet, staying unbothered. And Papoose? He's just floating between both of them, not taking accountability for any of it. Clarissa put her trust in someone who didn't deserve it. She believed in a love that wasn't real. And now she's dealing with the aftermath, the embarrassment, the betrayal, the realization that she was just a pawn in someone else's game. That kind of pain cuts deep, especially when it's all playing out publicly, especially when millions of people are watching, commenting, judging. And you can hear it in her tone now. She's not as confident, she's not as bold. She's backtracking, trying to rewrite the narrative, trying to protect herself. But the damage is done. The internet has already made up its mind, and Clarissa's left picking up the pieces of a relationship that was never as solid as she thought. This isn't just drama. This is a woman realizing she gave her heart to the wrong person, and that's something anyone can relate to, no matter how strong you are.
Now, let's dive even deeper into the evidence, because the more you look, the more this whole thing unravels. We already talked about the Christmas situation, but there's so much more. Let's go back to the beginning of their relationship and trace the red flags that were there all along. First, the way this relationship even started is messy. Clarissa admitted in interviews that she used to admire Remy Ma. She looked up to her. She even reached out to her for style tips and advice. So Clarissa knew who Remy was. She knew Remy and Papoose were together, and then suddenly she's in Papoose's DMs. She's talking to him publicly. She's making it known that they're involved. That's not accidental, that's intentional. And it shows that from the very start, this wasn't just about love. There was an element of competition, an element of wanting what someone else had. And people noticed. Fans were commenting on how Clarissa seemed more interested in beating Remy than actually building something real with Papoose. Every post was a jab at Remy. Every interview was a comparison. Every public appearance was a flex. It was like Clarissa needed Remy to see her with Papoose. She needed Remy to react. But Remy never did, and that drove Clarissa even crazier. Now, let's talk about the text messages. Remy Ma exposed text messages between Clarissa and Papoose at one point. And in those texts, Clarissa was complaining. She was saying Papoose wasn't doing enough. She was saying she felt like she was putting in more effort. She was asking for more attention, more time, more commitment. And Papoose's responses? They were short. They were dismissive. They were the responses of a man who's keeping someone at arm's length. But instead of seeing that as a red flag, Clarissa doubled down. She defended him publicly. She said Remy was just jealous, just bitter, just trying to ruin what they had. But those texts told a different story. They showed a woman chasing a man who wasn't fully invested. And then there's the interviews. Every time Clarissa and Papoose did an interview together, people noticed the dynamic. Clarissa would do most of the talking. She'd hype him up, defend him, explain their relationship. And Papoose, he'd sit there, nod, smile, but he wasn't as vocal. He wasn't as enthusiastic. He wasn't matching her energy. And body language experts online started breaking it down. They pointed out how he'd lean away from her at times, how he'd avoid eye contact when she'd say something overly affectionate, how he'd change the subject when things got too personal. All signs that he wasn't as emotionally connected as she was. And let's talk about social media patterns. Clarissa was posting Papoose constantly, but Papoose, he wasn't posting her nearly as much. And when he did, it was always after she posted him first. It was reactive, not proactive. It was like he felt obligated to post her because she posted him, not because he genuinely wanted to show her off. And fans clocked that. They started saying he's just doing the bare minimum to keep her around while he figures things out with Remy. Now fast forward to recent weeks, Clarissa's posts have changed. She's not posting Papoose as much. She's posting more solo content. She's posting gym videos, training clips, motivational quotes, and the captions have shifted. They're more about self-love, independence, not needing anyone. Classic breakup energy. And people are reading between the lines. They're saying she's preparing to walk away, or she's already been walked away from and she's trying to save face. And then there's the Louis Vuitton situation we talked about earlier, but let's break it down even more. Clarissa posted those bags, said she bought them herself, flexed her independence, then days later she's saying Papoose bought them for her. But here's what fans noticed. The bags were the exact same ones, same colors, same styles, same receipts visible in the background. She literally tried to rebrand her own shopping trip as a gift from him. And that's not just sad, it's telling. It shows she's trying so hard to make it seem like he's treating her right, like he's spending on her, like he's invested. But he's not, and she knows it, so she's creating a narrative that doesn't exist. And the most damning piece of evidence? The fact that Papoose is still legally married to Remy Ma. That's not speculation, that's fact. There's no divorce filing, no public announcement of finalized paperwork. They are still married, which means every moment Papoose spends with Clarissa, he's still technically a married man. And Clarissa kept calling Remy his ex-wife, but legally she's not. Legally, Remy is still his wife, and that changes everything. It means Clarissa was never the main priority. She was the placeholder, the distraction, the rebound, and now she's realizing it. Fans online have compiled all of this into threads, video breakdowns, side-by-side comparisons. They've created timelines showing every red flag, every inconsistency, every moment that proved Papoose wasn't fully committed, and the evidence is overwhelming. This wasn't a real relationship. This was a situationship that Clarissa tried to turn into something more, and Papoose let her believe it because it benefited him. He got attention, relevance, and access to her platform, and when it was convenient, he'd go back to Remy. He played both sides, and Clarissa's the one left foolish.
Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize this isn't the first time something like this has happened in hip-hop. The culture has a long history of messy love triangles, rebounds, and relationships that play out publicly. And Clarissa and Papoose's situation fits right into that pattern. Think about other high-profile breakups and rebounds. Think about how often we see someone jump from one relationship to another without fully processing the first one. Think about how often the new person gets caught up, thinking they're special, thinking they're different, only to realize they were just filling a void. Clarissa's situation is textbook. She got involved with a man who was fresh out of a marriage, a man who was still emotionally tied to his ex, a man who was still legally tied to his ex, and she thought she could be the one to make him forget all that. But you can't compete with history. You can't compete with a decade-plus relationship. You can't compete with a child. And Clarissa's learning that the hard way. And let's talk about the broader implications for her career.
Clarissa Shields is one of the greatest boxers, male or female, of this generation. But instead of being known for her accomplishments in the ring, she's becoming known for this drama. Google her name right now and half the results are about Papoose and Remy Ma. That's not what she worked for. That's not the legacy she's building. But that's what happens when you get too caught up in a public relationship. It overshadows everything else. And that's a warning for anyone in the public eye. Protect your brand. Protect your image. Don't let a relationship define you. And people are also talking about how this situation reflects on Papoose. Before this, he was seen as a loyal, stand-up guy. The man who held Remy down while she was incarcerated. The man who married her in prison. The man who stayed solid. But now, his image is taking a hit. People are calling him a player, a manipulator, someone who used Clarissa for clout. And whether that's fair or not, that's the narrative forming. And once a narrative takes hold online, it's hard to shake. There's also the question of what happens next. Does Clarissa fully walk away? Does she keep trying to make it work? Does Papoose go back to Remy fully, or does he keep playing both sides? And what does Remy do? Does she take him back? Does she stay unbothered and keep moving forward? These are the questions everyone's asking, and depending on how it plays out, this story could have a whole different ending. Some people online are even speculating that this was all a publicity stunt, that Clarissa and Papoose staged this relationship to get attention, to stay relevant, to boost both their careers. And while that's possible, the emotional investment Clarissa showed seems too real to be fake. You can't fake that level of obsession. You can't fake that level of defensiveness. She was all in. Whether Papoose was or not is the real question. And let's not forget the role of social media in all this. 20 years ago, this would have played out privately. Maybe a few tabloid stories here and there, but now everything is public. Every post is analyzed, every comment is screenshot, every interview is clipped and shared. There's no privacy, and that amplifies everything. It makes breakups messier, it makes betrayals more painful, it makes reconciliation harder, because the whole world is watching, judging, commenting. And that pressure can destroy relationships that might have had a chance in private. Clarissa's situation is a case study in how modern relationships play out in the age of social media. And it's a cautionary tale. Be careful who you trust. Be careful who you go public with. Be careful how much of yourself you give to someone who might not be giving the same in return. Because once it's out there, you can't take it back. And Clarissa's learning that lesson in real time in front of millions of people.
And this story is still unfolding, with way bigger implications than just one messy relationship. What we're seeing here is how desperation, competition, and public pressure can warp someone's judgment. Clarissa Shields is a brilliant athlete, a champion, someone who's calculated and strategic in the ring. But in her personal life, she got played. And that shows that no matter how strong, how smart, how successful you are, love can make you blind. The bigger conversation here is about boundaries. Clarissa crossed a major boundary by getting involved with a married man. And yes, they were separated, but separation isn't divorce. Separation means there's still a chance of reconciliation. It means there are still legal, financial, and emotional ties. And jumping into that situation is risky, because you're not just dealing with the person, you're dealing with their history, their baggage, their unresolved issues. And Clarissa thought she could handle that, but she couldn't. And there's also the issue of self-worth. Clarissa was so focused on proving she was better than Remy, on proving she could keep Papoose, that she lost sight of her own value. She was bending over backwards, trying to be the perfect girlfriend, trying to show the world they were happy, trying to make it work. But she shouldn't have had to try that hard. If someone truly wants you, it's effortless. If someone's truly invested, it shows. And Papoose's actions showed he wasn't. But Clarissa ignored that because she wanted the fairy tale. This situation is also a warning about social media validation. Clarissa was posting constantly, looking for likes, looking for comments, looking for validation that her relationship was real. But social media isn't real life. Just because something looks good online doesn't mean it's good in reality. And chasing that validation can trap you in a situation that's not healthy. You start performing for the audience instead of living for yourself. And that's exhausting, and ultimately it's unsustainable. And for anyone watching this play out, the lesson is clear. Don't get involved with someone who's not fully available. Don't compete with someone's ex. Don't try to force a relationship to be something it's not. And don't ignore red flags just because you want something to work. Because eventually, the truth comes out. And when it does, you're the one left looking foolish. Clarissa's situation is painful, but it's a powerful reminder to value yourself, to set boundaries, and to walk away when something doesn't feel right, no matter how much you want it to be different.
So where does this leave everyone? Clarissa Shields is clearly in damage control mode. She's backtracking on her public declarations of love. She's hinting that she was used. She's trying to rewrite the narrative so she doesn't look like the fool. But the internet has receipts. Every post, every interview, every bold claim she made, it's all still there. And people aren't letting her forget it. And sources close to the situation are saying that Clarissa's finally waking up to reality. She's realizing that Papoose was never going to leave Remy fully. She's realizing that she was a distraction, not a priority. And she's reportedly telling people that if she knew he was still that connected to Remy, she never would have gotten involved. But the signs were always there. She just chose to ignore them. Meanwhile, Papoose is staying quiet. He's not addressing the drama, he's not defending Clarissa, he's not explaining himself. And that silence is loud. It shows he doesn't feel the need to justify his actions. It shows he's comfortable letting Clarissa take the heat while he figures out his next move. And that's cold. That's the move of someone who was never emotionally invested. And Remy Ma, she's still unbothered, still glowing, still living her best life. And that's the ultimate power move. She didn't have to say a word. She didn't have to clap back. She just stayed in her lane and let the situation expose itself. And now she's the one who looks like the winner. She's the one who maintained her dignity. She's the one who didn't lose her mind over a man. And people respect that. But here's the real question. Is this relationship actually over? Or is Clarissa just going through a rough patch and will go right back to defending Papoose in a few weeks? Because we've seen this before. We've seen people break up and make up publicly over and over. And given how invested Clarissa was, it's possible she's not ready to fully let go. It's possible she'll try to salvage this, try to make it work, try to prove everyone wrong. But if she does that, she's only going to hurt herself more. Because the evidence is clear. Papoose is not fully committed. He's not leaving Remy. He's not putting Clarissa first. And if she keeps accepting less than she deserves, she's going to keep getting hurt. The internet is watching, and they're waiting to see if Clarissa finally walks away with her dignity intact, or if she keeps chasing a man who's not worth it. Stay locked in because this story is far from over. More details are dropping every day. More clues are surfacing, and people online are saying there's even more tea that hasn't come out yet. Reports say Clarissa might address this situation fully in an upcoming interview. And if she does, it's going to be explosive because she's been holding back, trying to protect Papoose, trying to protect the image of their relationship. But if she finally decides to tell her truth unfiltered, it could change everything. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Clarissa got played? Do you think Papoose was using her for clout and money the whole time? Do you think she should have seen this coming? Or do you think she genuinely believed they had something real? And what about Remy Ma? Do you think she's been waiting for this to fall apart? Or is she truly unbothered and just living her life? And here's the bigger question. Do you think Clarissa will actually walk away? Or will she go running back to Papoose the moment he shows her a little attention again? Because we've all seen people stay in situations that aren't good for them just because they're emotionally attached. And Clarissa seems deeply attached. Make sure you hit that like button if you've been following this drama. Subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Because trust me, there's more coming. Turn on those notifications because when the next chapter of this story drops, you're going to want to be first to know. I appreciate every single one of you for rocking with me and staying tapped in. Remember, protect your peace, know your worth, and never let anyone make you feel like you have to compete for love. If it's real, you'll know. And if it's not, walk away before you lose yourself trying to hold on. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay unbothered. Peace.